after what our next guest called the, quote, worst performance ever by a major party candidate in a general election presidential debate. And he's changing his outlook for certain swing states because of it. Joining us now is Larry Sabato, professor and director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia. Larry, welcome back. As always, it's great to see you. You look at the election the only way it makes sense to look at it, and that is state by state. What did the debate do in those so-called swing states? How did the calculations change?
Well, we haven't had a lot of good data out of individual swing states yet, Tyler. We will. But the overall picture clearly moved in Trump's direction from a lead of maybe 2 points, somewhere in that vicinity, to a lead of 6 points. Now, think about that. 6 points, that's a lot in this very polarized partisan era. And that means that most of those swing states, and incredibly could be all, have moved in Trump's direction. And the map is expanding. We're getting states that were leaning Biden or leaning Democratic, like Minnesota, for example, potentially leaning in the other direction. So it was not a successful night for Joe Biden. I know that isn't a bulletin to anybody.
No, not a bullet. But you have, the way you look at it is leans or likely Democrat. Some of those have moved into the toss-up category. You're saying some may have moved even into the lean GOP category. Let me ask you this question. Today, the president is taping an interview with George Stephanopoulos. And my sense is that on debate night, he had, quote, a bad night. That's what they all say. My contention would be that he could have a good night tonight, but that wouldn't change the fundamental issue, which is that a large plurality of the electorate think simply that the president is too old to run and carry out another term. And that won't change.
That's true. And you had 51 million people watching the debate. With all due respect to ABC, I don't think they're going to have 51 million people watching that interview. But even if they did watch, what you said is absolutely valid. The White House built up that first debate and said that all of our doubts about Joe Biden and his mental capacity would be cleared up. Well, no, they were made ever so much more murky. And it was shocking. Look, you can't get those images out of your head. And I say that from a nonpartisan perspective, just looking at debates, judging it against other candidates from 1960 on. It's not enough to say it was awful. It was catastrophic. So are you going to somehow wipe all that away with a relatively short interview with an ABC anchor? I don't think so.